but it is quickly fading away, the Occupy movement. When you think of these whole new generations that are coming up, and I'm just so amazed, kids out of high school and college, and it's sort of like a whole group of people in front of you, and you're like, what? And they don't, I mean, they don't even have any memories of Bugs Bunny, you know what I mean? And so, so the thing is, on a much more serious note here is, how do we, you can't recreate what has happened. So obviously, I'm not saying that because we can't go back and recreate that. But what we do know in moving ahead with the austerity budget, the austerity measures that are coming up, and that impact on the proletariat class, the working class, is key to how we can begin to redefine ourselves and set new agendas based on the analysis that we have already given, or what has already been forthcoming from the Occupy movement. So in other words, we don't have to reinvent the wheel in terms of critical thinking and analysis, but we do have to re-strategize, if you will, in terms of moving ahead in conditions worse than when we started Occupy Wall Street, with what's coming down on us. And so that would be central to any discussion for me.
Sorry, I was calling it. No, I was calling on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You both raised your hand at the same time. I'm very sorry. And then you, Rob. Sorry.
I mean, I guess it's kind of a more pragmatic question, which is, how, for me, one of the reasons for coming to this session instead of all the 50 other meeting sessions that are offered simultaneously until I form today, was, right, so how can we take this how can we develop some kind of cross-fertilization and linking and dialogue between, I think there's a tremendous strength to being very neighborhood-based and neighborhood-focused, but I think that, aside from like seeing each other's notifications on Facebook, we don't really have a whole lot of interaction with each other, and part of why it was to meet some of the other neighborhood occupiers. So I think it would be great if we could figure out some way of keeping the conversation going and thinking about how we link our work, the local work, with something larger, without trying to create something artificial that doesn't exist, recreate something.
Rob.
There are two things. One is how we can use social media, really back on what you were saying, to connect with our local struggles, but also to promote the victories that we are having. Because I think this is really the issue that you're addressing about the media, that nobody knows that there are victories here on the very local level. That's really important to empower other local localities.
Thank you. Sorry, Tom was next, and I should take stack 1, 2, 3. So, I'm sorry. We'll just do that. Tom.
It seems like, particularly under the Bloomberg administration, neighborhoods have faded away as active entities that have any relationship to real decision-making by government. And I think constructing a horizontal decision-making capacity at neighborhood level and then linking these really ought to be strategic for gaining political power in this city. It's the only way to start from the bottom up. And it's the weakest point of this system, and Sandy demonstrated the incapacity of city government to really deal with people's neighborhoods and communities, other than in a paternalistic way, charitable way, or using the police, its police power. So to me, this is really, I don't know if we have time to do this kind of thing across different neighborhoods, because that it's very uneven, I think, from one. And I'm leaving out, of course, Riverdale Brooklyn Heights and Upper East Side of Manhattan. Those are the neighborhoods we're not talking about. Those we're talking about, you know, neighborhoods where real working people live.
Sir, sorry, I can't see your name.
Duff.
Duff.
Yeah, I was actually repeating what she said and you said is I'm not even involved in an assembly, but it'd be good to hear what's going on, maybe some sort of media or meetings, like co-meetings of different branches getting together, going to each other's meetings, or some way of communicating more with each assembly neighborhood group, but also to the outside world, people who aren't involved who might want to hook in somehow.
I'm sorry?
Jane.
Jane.
Yeah. I just want to throw it out that I think that there's something going on now that social movements have evolved to the point where there's an intuitive sense that local doesn't mean parochial. And that I think that that's what we're groping around and trying to understand that what that is. And I think for myself personally that it has a personal element to it. I mean, to make a long story short, I was a pretty smart-ass, brilliant white lefty in the 60s in New York City, and I didn't pay any attention to the Horatio Street Association. I didn't poo-poo it, right?
I'm sorry, to Horatio Street
I live
Association?
on Horatio Street in the West Village.
Right.
The West Village is probably one of the most organized of the block associations. And I didn't pay any attention to the Horatio Street Association. I was out organizing with, I did some important work, stuff, but I wasn't really thinking of what I needed. And what I need is a community. I want to be part of a community. And I don't want it just to be occupied. I don't want it just to be a lefty thing where I have lefty things in my head. Okay? I want to have real relationships in my communities, that communicative relationships with all kinds of people. And to then be able to communicate with other people who need those same things. So that's what I'm saying about that it's intuitive. But I don't want to booster the, wherever it is, Crown Heights, Bushwick, West Harlem, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that, but I do need community. And I think that's where, I also really resonate with the whole issue of was-on organizing and using some kinds of inclusive ways of doing participatory decision-making processes to do that and create trust and accountability.
One of the problems we had in Occupy is people sometimes don't understand the difference between soapboxing and us getting to stay on point. And we have 35 minutes now. So my thing is, what do we make a mistake at with Occupy in terms of organizing? There's issues going on everywhere from the rent strike to gentrification to Golden Farms. There's only 4 occupiers that exist that do regular GAs right now. The only occupier that's not here is Staten Island. And there's an election coming up, mayor. So there's a lot that we can organize around.
Four are here who have general assemblies.
Right, that meet regularly. They still meet regularly. It's about 4 that still do that. Regularly.
Plus Staten Island is 5. Sorry to interrupt.
Right. Well, Sunset Park's not doing. I'm saying that does regular G. There's Queens that's not here. Jackson.
Queens, there's 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so please.
But those that meet regularly is like 4. So anyway, so I was saying, I guess for the little time that we have left, we're going to 2 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 32 minutes. So I guess learning from our mistakes and how we can connect community struggles to some of the bigger issues coming on with the election. There's also this thing with the Mayor Bloomberg has appointed Seth Pinsky from Goldman Sachs to manage $9 billion in Sandy relief. That's a struggle, and there's forums coming up about that we need to get people into. There's a lot of things going on. So how do we connect local struggles to overall community? When I hear horizontal and inclusive decision making, I just wish I could show some streams from some of the meetings we had at Occupy Wall Street. We don't have the General Assembly as a result of that. Everybody making choices and everybody's included. Everybody. Ray Kelly people too. Anyway, that's it.
All right, I was going to suggest, since you brought up this matter of where do we go from here, we're not going to solve all problems today, but everyone should get on this email list so that we can just send around the video of this and maybe suggest some kind of follow-up. For example, that our 4 groups could have a joint General Assembly, and try to work out some kind of joint action or strategy. So I'll pass it around. Oh, you've got one?
I got a better looking one.
You've got a better looking one. Add a clipboard. This man comes
Clipboard,
prepared.
too,
Okay.
okay.
Does anyone have a non-red pen that you could share? Okay. So great. And that you could also pass around with that. So thank you. So, yes.
I have a statement / question for the group. I don't know if this is the time to do that, or were you about to move on to something else?
Well, I don't know.
It's something that I'm very curious about.
What is it about?
Well, it's about this kind of horizontal decision making, and what I seem to be seeing like a pattern of is like some people being very, very drawn to that, and some people being absolutely, completely turned off by it in every way.
Yes.
And one of the things that I want to suggest that I've kind of observed is that like it seems like that was this moment that created all of this like pouring of affect, pouring of emotion, and formed all of these new relationships and was completely inspiring, and it needs to be given credit for that. But on the other hand, when it comes down to these kind of very like daily nitty-gritty commitment sort of struggle things, it seems to be falling apart. And I'm wondering if anybody has explored the idea, and maybe the Kensington idea was similar to this, of finding a way to both have that need for the de-atomizing, as you had said, need for like building these kind of community forums that give people a chance to express themselves, actually learn how to listen to one another, and build those kind of ties. And then separate from that, you're organizing in your affinity group, which maybe follows whatever organizational tools you like. Has anybody like experimented with different ways to mix those two things and separate them out?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my question.
So what's stacked right now?